Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Taylor, and I am the advocate of the devil. But the Big D is not the only majorly underrepresented bad guy that I know of. In fact, almost every villain could be seen as the hero in whatever story he or she is a part of, depending on your point of view. Me, I love differing points of view, and I especially love how these so-called ne'er-do-wells think, or act, or talk, or even sing their very own bad guy songs. And sure, there are times where evil is just the way they are, but I'd say 9 times out of 10, there's more to them than meets the eye. Take, for instance, Jafar from the Disney movie Aladdin. It is the commonly held belief that the man is just lusting for power, that he is evil through and through. I would politely disagree. I think he is perfectly justified in his actions, the necessary undertakings of a man who is forced to deal with playing second fiddle to, well, I don't want to give away my points before I take off this jacket. So sit back and relax as I defend Jafar of Agrabah. First point should be fairly obvious, but I'm just gonna state it anyways. The Sultan is an idiot. He's got a grand palace that's largely empty. And what exactly has he done to better the living conditions of his people? From what I've seen, probably nothing. And on a serious note, I'd say his control over the throne is somewhat in question even by his own royal guards. After all,
except my orders come from Jafar. You'll have to take it up with him.
I think that's interesting right there. The Sultan should have absolute power, and when the princess reveals herself as the princess, in theory, she should be second in command. First, once a prince has been found, but the guards defer to the royal vizier's authority in this particular case. Later on, when Prince Ali shows up, look at how quickly he lowers his guard at the impressive procession that just marches its way into the palace. No waiting for permission, just a giant elephant bursting inside. And what does he do? Fly around on a magic carpet. I'd say that Jafar was only trying to protect the sovereign nation of Agrabah, to be rightfully doubtful of Aladdin's true intent for barging in. Which brings me to my second point. Who the hell is Prince Ali?
Prince Ali, fabulous genuflect, show some respect, down on one knee.
Sure, as an audience, we see that it's Aladdin, street urchin turned prince by the magical powers of Robin Williams' ad-libbing abilities. But where did he come from? How did he come to be a prince? All questions that Jafar was asking while the Sultan was off gallivanting with a magical floating device. Now that I think of it, if Carpet or even Aladdin had a moment of ill will towards the powers that be in Agrabah, wouldn't it have been oh so very easy to just turn that flight upside down and murder the Sultan? It would have been simple. And it's not like he was paying close enough attention to how to fly or anything. Okay, sorry, got off track there. Let's go back to the many lies of Aladdin. He starts off as a simple poor boy. Nobody loves him.
He's just a poor boy from a poor family.
Wandering the streets of Agrabah, he rescues the princess from getting her arm chopped off, because for some reason the next in line of the ruling family doesn't understand what stealing is, nor the consequences therein. Now, eventually, Princess Pushy Pants, more on her later, realizes that Prince Ali is really the guy from the streets, and instead of doing what everyone else is flat out telling him to do,
tell her the truth.
He keeps up the charade. In real life, in non-cartoon logic sequences, what do you think would have happened to our precious prince had he been caught in this? Would he have been allowed to just roam around the palace with no escort, wooing the Sultan's only daughter?
Hell no!
He would have been carted off, kicking and screaming, and most likely had his head chopped off. One less poor person in the streets of Agrabah, screwing up the economy for everyone. But alas, the Prince of No Lands is pretty much allowed to do as he pleases, all thanks to magic. Magic that isn't even his. At the very least, Jafar is a sorcerer. He can do his own magic. He's got a snake staff that allows him to hypnotize the Sultan himself. And if that's not enough, he's a master of disguise.
But how will you know it's me? I'm a master of disguise.
But there is, in fact, one other person standing in his way. One piece of the royal puzzle that would stop him from being the ultimate ruler of the land. And that is the princess. A princess who has pushed every other possible suitor away. A princess who has a pet tiger, a dangerous feline predator. And this is your best option for ruling Agrabah.
It's really so stupid.
Now, I'm all for reform and rules. Hell, I work for a man whose name is synonymous with rebelling. But sometimes those rules are in place for a reason, like keeping a land's economy in check by marrying upwards. You see it in real life with people getting hitched for the sole purpose of increasing their bank accounts, or at least maintaining a certain status quo. But Jasmine has done everything in her power to shut down any potential person for marriage before they even get a chance to know each other. Here's the thing. I like independence in my womanfolk, a strong, upstanding female who can stand up for themselves and fight for what they believe in. But in this particular case, it is one step too far. It is absolute anarchy in Agrabah. Which, quite frankly, scares the ever-loving shit out of me, because what happens when she eventually does get into power? Will she be able to maintain her composure? Or will she fight to the death with the first person who crosses her?
Oh, beheaded.
Can you imagine if this wasn't a fictional character I was talking about? Impulsive, brash, doesn't listen to anyone but themselves, who could very well lead the way to World War III. And that is why Jafar would have been better suited to be Jasmine's suitor. He was calm, cool, and collected all throughout the first movie. He was motivated and accomplished things, using other people if necessary to get the job done. And as Sultan, if there was anyone else who stood in his way, there would always be a diplomatic solution that is just a hypnotic snake staff away. You wouldn't even know what hit you. And isn't there something to be said about being blissful in one's own ignorance? Despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, I do hope I managed to shed some light into why Jafar should have been named Sultan of Agrabah. Whether it be in the current Sultan's stupidity or the outright hellaciousness of his daughter Jasmine, Jafar could very well have been exactly what Agrabah needed to remain prosperous. And while we all know that politicians lie, we don't like knowing that they're lying. It's just something we've all learned to deal with. Sadly, Prince Ali was one big fabrication, not even real, not even slightly, and so a hero? I say he is not. As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for all of our opinions here at Devious Advocacy, and let your voice be heard on our new Discord channel. If there's a villain you want me to defend, or just a way for you to get to know us here, we'd love to hear your thoughts. But above all else, let us know in the comments below what you think. Is Jafar just too evil to be made into a ruler? By all means, let your own views clash with my own, so that I may proceed to prove you wrong.
I drink, and I know things.
But for now, in the case of Jafar, the defense rests. You know, I love me some retro Super Nintendo goodness, and I've always had a theory. In the SNES game, there's a stage where in the background you see all these serpent heads. Jafar's snake staff looks very much like that. Is it a coincidence? Or in a deleted scene or backstory explanation, did Jafar get his staff from that pyramid that you need to explore? Let me know what you think, huh?